You woke up this morning, and before your feet even hit the floor, before coffee, before brushing your teeth, before saying good morning to anyone, you did the thing. You cleared your throat. Not once, not twice, for 5 minutes, maybe 10. That thick, stubborn feeling sitting right at the back of your throat, like something is stuck there and refuses to move. You cough, you hack, you try to swallow it down, you drink some water, and eventually, your voice starts to come back. But it's not really your voice. Not yet. It's rough. It's low. It sounds like you just woke up from a 3-day cold, except you don't have a cold. You haven't had a cold in months. And here's the part that probably bothers you more than the mucus itself. People notice. Your wife stopped asking you to repeat yourself in the morning. She just waits. Your grandkid once asked why you always make that sound. Your friends at church hear you coughing during the quiet parts of the service. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a question you don't say out loud. Is something wrong with me? You've tried things. Of course you have. You're not the kind of person who just sits around. You've bought the lozenges, the sprays, the antihistamines. Maybe your doctor told you to try a decongestant or drink more water. Maybe you've been doing a nasal rinse here and there, and some of it helped a little for a little while. But every single morning, you're right back where you started, clearing your throat, waiting for your voice to show up, wondering why nothing sticks. I want to tell you something, and I need you to hear it clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. This is not a disease. This is not the beginning of something scary. And it is absolutely not something you just have to live with because you're over 60. What's happening is real. It has a real explanation. And the reason nothing you've tried has worked is not because you failed. It's because everything you've tried so far has been aimed at the wrong part of the problem. And I know you've probably heard promises like this before. Some video telling you they have the answer. So I'm not going to ask you to believe me. I'm going to explain what's happening inside your body, and you can decide for yourself if it makes sense. Now, I'm not your doctor, and nothing in this video replaces that conversation, but what I can do is show you what's going on inside your body. So the next time you sit down with your doctor, you know exactly what to ask. Your throat isn't broken. Your throat is actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's defending you. The mucus is there because something keeps irritating your airway, and your body is laying down a protective shield to deal with it. The problem is not that your body is making too much mucus. The problem is that the mucus has become too thick for your body to clear on its own. And the thing causing the irritation, the thing your body is trying to protect you from, is still there, every night, working quietly while you sleep. So let me show you what's actually going on, because once you see it, everything clicks. And the solution becomes obvious. There are 3 things happening inside your body that create that morning mucus. And the simplest way I can explain it is this. Imagine your throat as a space with 2 faucets dripping into it. One from above, one from below, and one slow conveyor belt trying to clear the mess. The faucets are pouring in. The belt can't keep up. And every morning, you wake up in the flood. Let me show you each piece, starting with the conveyor belt. The first piece is something that changes naturally as you get older. And nobody tells you about it. Your throat has a built-in cleaning system. Millions of tiny hair-like structures called cilia line the inside of your airway. Their job, their only job, is to push mucus up and out. They wave back and forth in a coordinated rhythm, like a slow conveyor belt, moving mucus toward your stomach or your mouth so it can be cleared away. When you were younger, this system was fast. Mucus came and went, and you never even noticed. You didn't wake up congested. You didn't need to clear your throat. The conveyor belt handled everything on its own. But after about 55, those cilia start to slow down. They don't wave as fast. They don't coordinate as well. And the mucus that used to clear itself in minutes now just sits there. It thickens. It settles. And by morning, you've got a layer of dense, sticky mucus that your throat can't move anymore. And here's what makes this worse. That antihistamine you've been taking to try to fix it, it dries out the lining of your throat. The protective moisture layer that your cilia need to do their job. The antihistamine strips it away. Your throat gets dry, cracked, irritated. And when an irritated surface gets hit with more dust, more acid, more of anything, your body panics. It floods the area with even more mucus, thicker than before, stickier than before. The very thing you took to fix the problem is making the conveyor belt's job impossible. That's not disease, that's biology. And it's completely manageable. Once you know what your cilia actually need to work properly again. We'll get to that. The second piece is the one that surprises almost everyone. And honestly, it might be the most important thing in this entire video. There is a type of acid reflux that causes no heartburn, no burning in your chest, no sour taste in your mouth, nothing you would recognize as reflux. Your doctor might not even think to check for it unless you specifically ask. It's called silent reflux, and here's exactly what it does. You eat dinner. A few hours later, you go to bed. You lie down flat. And the moment you go horizontal, something changes inside your body. Your stomach has a valve at the top. A little muscular ring that keeps the contents of your stomach where they belong. During the day, when you're upright, gravity helps that valve stay shut. It doesn't have to work very hard because gravity is doing most of the job. But when you lie flat, gravity stops helping. And that valve, especially as you get older, especially if you ate within a couple hours of bed, starts to let things through. Not a flood, not the kind of reflux that wakes you up with chest pain, just a fine, invisible vapor. A mist of acid and stomach contents that drifts up your esophagus, quietly, slowly, and reaches the back of your throat. Your throat has no idea what that vapor is. It just knows something is touching the lining. Something that shouldn't be there over and over for 6, 7, 8 hours. So it does the only thing it knows how to do. It makes mucus. Lots of it. Thick, heavy, protective mucus to coat the lining and keep that vapor from doing damage. And every morning you wake up with the evidence. That heavy throat, that voice that won't come out right, that feeling like something is stuck that you just can't clear. That mucus isn't a malfunction. It's your body's best attempt to protect you from something it can feel, but you can't. And those lozenges you reach for every morning? The menthol ones that make your throat feel open and clear? They're playing a trick on your nervous system. Menthol activates cold receptors in your throat. It creates a sensation of openness without actually opening anything. The mucus is still there, still building, still thickening. The lozenge just made you stop feeling it for a few minutes. And most of those lozenges are loaded with sugar, which feeds the bacteria that are already thriving in an irritated throat. You're coating an inflamed surface with bacterial food and calling it relief. Now, I call this the bottom faucet. Imagine your throat has two faucets dripping into it. This one comes from below, from your stomach, up through your esophagus, and into the back of your throat. The silent reflux faucet. The third piece of the puzzle is the top faucet. Your nose drains constantly, day and night. A slow, steady trickle of fluid from your sinuses moving down the back of your throat. Normally you don't notice it at all. It just drains through quietly and your body handles it. But when your nasal lining gets inflamed, from dust, dry air, pet dander, air conditioning, heating, seasonal changes, that drainage gets heavier and thicker. Instead of slipping through, it starts to pool at the back of your throat. It sits there. It mixes with the mucus your throat is already producing from the reflux. And the whole mess gets thicker and harder to move. Doctors call it post-nasal drip. And it's incredibly common in adults over 60, especially in homes with central heating or air conditioning running most of the year. So here's the full picture. Your cilia have slowed down. They can't move mucus as efficiently as they used to. The bottom faucet, silent reflux, is dripping acid vapor into your throat all night long. And your body is producing thick mucus to defend against it. The top faucet, post-nasal drip, is adding more drainage on top of that. And by morning, you have a throat full of thick, sticky mucus that your body simply can't clear fast enough. Two faucets open, one conveyor belt running at half speed, and a medicine cabinet full of things that were never designed to address any of it. That is why you spend 10 minutes every morning coughing and clearing before you can speak. Not because something is wrong with you, because three things are happening at once, and nobody explained the combination. Now, before I show you what actually works, I need you to understand why this matters beyond just comfort. When that thick mucus sits in your throat for hours, night after night, it doesn't just feel unpleasant. It creates an environment, a warm, moist, stagnant layer where bacteria can settle and multiply. Over weeks and months, a low-level inflammation starts to spread through the lining of your airway. Your vocal cords swell slightly, just enough to make the voice rough and tired every morning. Your sinuses drain heavier to try to compensate. And the longer this cycle runs without being interrupted, the harder it becomes to break. This isn't meant to scare you. This is meant to help you understand that the morning throat clearing isn't just an annoyance. It's a signal. Your body is telling you something needs to change, and the good news, the really good news, is that the change is simple, it's free, and you can start tonight. 4 things. Each one targets a different piece of the puzzle. Separately, they help. Together, they give your body everything it needs to start clearing itself again. The way it used to, before any of this started. The first one is the foundation for everything else. And it's going to sound almost too simple, but stay with me, because the details are what make it work. Your mucus is 95% water. When your body is even slightly dehydrated, And most adults over 60 are mildly dehydrated without knowing it. That water content drops. The mucus goes from a thin fluid layer that your cilia can push along to a dense paste that they can't move at all. Now, you've probably heard, drink more water 1,000 times. That's not what I'm telling you. Because most people hear that and drink a big glass of water in the morning, then nothing for 3 hours. And that does almost nothing for your throat. Here's why. Your mucosa, the tissue lining your throat, absorbs moisture slowly through consistent, steady contact. Think of it like a garden. You can't dump a bucket of water on dry soil once a week and expect green grass every day. The water runs off. The soil stays dry underneath, but a slow, steady sprinkle. A little bit every day, and the ground stays soft. Your throat works the same way. And temperature matters more than you'd think. Cold liquids actually slow your cilia down. They cause the muscles around your airway to tighten. Cold makes the mucus thicker, and the cleaning system slower at the exact same time. Warm liquids do the opposite. They thin the mucus. They stimulate the cilia. They relax the airways. So here's what a lot of people have found works. When you wake up, before coffee, before breakfast, try drinking 1 full glass of warm water. Not hot. Warm. Comfortable bath temperature. This rehydrates your throat lining after a full night of breathing dry bedroom air. Then, through the day, take small sips of warm water or warm herbal tea every hour or so. Not a full glass each time, just a few ounces, enough to keep the lining moist. And if you must have something cold during the day, drink it through a straw so it bypasses the throat. This alone, just this one change, starts to make a difference within 2 days. The mucus becomes thinner. Not gone, but thinner. And thinner means your cilia can actually start doing their job again. Now, the second thing shuts the bottom faucet, the silent reflux. And this is the one backed by the strongest evidence of anything in this video. Consider raising the head of your bed. Not your pillow, not a wedge, the actual bed frame. Wooden blocks, thick books, or bed risers from the hardware store. Placed under the 2 legs at the head end. 4 to 6 inches higher than the foot. That's all. That gentle slope is enough for gravity to keep your stomach contents exactly where they belong, all night long. Researchers tested this with people who had the same problem you have. Same morning mucus. Same throat clearing. Same frustration. They raised the bed 6 inches. That's it. The acid reaching the throat at night dropped by 2/3. No medication, no procedure. Just gravity doing its job again. 2/3. Think about that. 2/3 of what's been irritating your throat every night. Gone. Because of a 6-inch change in the angle of your bed. And there's a second part to this. Sleep on your left side. Your stomach isn't symmetrical. The opening that leads upward toward your esophagus sits on the right side of the organ. When you sleep on your right side, that opening faces down, essentially pointing your stomach contents toward your throat. When you sleep on your left side, that opening faces up. The anatomy itself works against the reflux. Studies comparing the 2 positions show a dramatic reduction in reflux episodes on the left side. Not a small difference, a massive one. Put a firm pillow behind your back when you lie on your left side. It holds you in position without you thinking about it. Most people adjust within a week. One important note: if you have lower back or hip problems, start smaller. 3 inches instead of 6. See how your body responds and increase gradually. This isn't worth doing if it's causing you pain somewhere else. But for most people, the bed elevation plus the left side sleeping. This is what changes the mornings. People notice it on the very first day. The throat feels lighter on waking. The voice comes back faster. That heavy, coated feeling starts to lift. The third thing shuts the top faucet. And this one is beautifully quick to explain because it's beautifully simple to do. A nasal saline rinse. Salt water through your nose. Once in the morning, once before bed. It physically flushes out the allergens, dust, and dried debris that have been building up in your nasal passages. Washes them out before they can drip down into your throat. And it rehydrates the nasal lining, which calms the inflammation that was causing the heavy drainage in the first place. Neti pot or squeeze bottle, both available at any pharmacy. It's best to use distilled or previously boiled water rather than straight tap water. Dissolve the saline packet completely. Rinse both nostrils. 3 days. That's how quickly most people feel the difference. That sensation of something constantly dripping down the back of your throat starts to ease. By week 2, it's substantially better. The only catch, and this is the reason most people lose the benefit, is consistency. You do it for a week, you feel better, you stop. Within days, the drip comes back. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't stop because your teeth feel clean today. This is a daily habit. 2 minutes a day. That's what it costs to keep that top faucet shut. The fourth thing ties it all together. And I'll be honest with you. When I first came across this one, I almost dismissed it. Ginger tea with honey. Sounds like something your grandmother made. Something warm and comforting, but probably not actually doing anything real. I was wrong, and the reason I was wrong surprised me. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols that do something unusual. They work on 2 completely different levels at the same time. On one level, they calm inflammation in your throat lining. Less inflammation means your body produces less defensive mucus. The shield starts to thin because the lining doesn't feel like it needs as much protection anymore. On another level, and this is the part that really matters, ginger helps your stomach empty faster. It speeds up the process of clearing food from your stomach into your intestines. Faster emptying means less pressure against that valve at the top. Less pressure means less vapor reaching your throat while you sleep. So ginger is quietly working on the symptom and the cause at the same time. The honey is the other half, and it has to be raw honey, not the processed kind in the plastic squeeze bottle. Raw, unprocessed honey from a jar. It has mild antimicrobial properties that help reduce the bacterial load in an irritated throat. And it actually lowers the thickness of mucus, makes it more fluid, easier for your body to move. Now, I want to be straight with you. The research on ginger and honey specifically for this purpose is still growing. It's not as established as the evidence for elevating your bed. But the biological logic is solid, the early results are encouraging, and the risk is essentially 0. It's ginger and honey. If your grandmother were here, she'd tell you she knew this all along. She just couldn't explain the biochemistry. Here's how to make it. Boil water. Add 4 or 5 slices of fresh ginger root. Let it steep for 10 full minutes. Don't rush this. The active compounds need time to release into the water. Strain it into a cup. Now, this next part matters. Let it cool until it's warm, not hot. If the water is still steaming, it's too hot. Temperatures above about 104 degrees Fahrenheit destroy the beneficial enzymes in honey. So wait until you can hold the cup comfortably in both hands. Then stir in 1 teaspoon of raw honey until it dissolves. 1 cup in the late afternoon or early evening. 1 cup about 30 minutes before bed. So now you have 4 pieces. The warm fluids for your cilia. The elevated bed for the silent reflux. The nasal rinse for the post-nasal drip. And the ginger and honey to accelerate everything. Not one of them suppresses your body's natural response. Not one of them dries out your throat, or numbs the sensation, or masks the problem for 15 minutes before it comes roaring back. They work with your body, not against it. That's why the results last. Here's what the routine looks like if you want to try it tonight. I'll walk you through it in order, so it's easy to follow. Try to eat dinner early. Most experts recommend at least 3 hours between your last meal and bedtime. This gives your stomach time to empty before you lie down. The more consistent you are with this, the better the results tend to be. If you normally eat at 7 and sleep at 10, you're in good shape. If you eat at 8 and go to bed at 9, that gap is probably too short. Around 6 or 7 in the evening, try making your first cup of ginger tea with raw honey. Drink it slowly. Let it do its work. About 30 minutes before bed, do your nasal saline rinse. Both nostrils. Then make your second cup of ginger and honey tea. When you get into bed, if you've raised the head of your bed, those 4 to 6 inches, settle onto your left side with a firm pillow behind your back to hold your position. And tomorrow morning, before coffee, before breakfast, before anything, try starting the day with 1 full glass of warm water. Through the day, sip warm water or warm herbal tea every hour. Small amounts, not cold. Not in big gulps, just consistent, steady, warm hydration. That's the entire system. Nothing to buy at the pharmacy. Nothing that requires a prescription. Nothing that costs more than a few dollars a week. Now, let me tell you what to expect. Because I don't want you to think this is some overnight miracle. It's not. It's your body finding its way back, and that takes a little time. In the first 2 or 3 days, the mucus will start to feel thinner. You'll still need to clear your throat in the morning, but it will take less effort. It won't feel as stuck. That grinding 10-minute session might drop to 3 or 4 minutes. That's the hydration working. Your cilia are getting traction again. By day 5 to 7, your voice will sound different on waking, less rough. Less like you need an hour before you sound like yourself. The heavy, coated feeling in your throat will start to lift. You might catch yourself talking on the phone earlier in the morning than you normally would. That's the reflux changes taking effect. The bottom faucet is closing. By the end of the 2nd week, something shifts that's hard to describe until you feel it. You'll wake up one morning and realize you're not thinking about your throat. You didn't plan for it. You didn't do anything special. You just woke up. And your voice was there. Clear. Ready. No ritual. No waiting. And you'll wonder when exactly it changed. Because it happened so gradually, You didn't notice the moment. You just suddenly realized it's been like this for a couple of days. And that's what normal feels like. You don't notice it. Your throat is just quiet. By week 3 and 4, the change is consistent, not dependent on whether you slept well, not undone by one bad meal. Your body has found its rhythm again. The system is running the way it was always designed to run. I want to leave you with something that goes beyond the mucus. That sound you make every morning. That clearing, that coughing, that rough voice that takes so long to come back. At some point, you stopped thinking of it as a problem and started thinking of it as just who you are now. Part of your morning, part of getting older. Something you accepted the way you accept a creaky knee or a slower step. But here's what I want you to consider. Every morning that you couldn't speak clearly for the first hour. Every phone call you avoided because your voice wasn't ready. Every time your grandchild looked at you funny, or your wife just waited instead of asking you to repeat yourself. That wasn't aging. That was a pattern. A pattern with a cause. And causes have solutions. When you wake up next week and your voice is just there, when you say good morning and it comes out clear, strong, yours, you're not going to feel like you fixed a health problem. You're going to feel like you got a piece of yourself back. A piece you didn't realize you'd been missing until it returned. That's what this is really about. Not mucus, not protocols. Getting back to feeling like yourself from the first moment of the day. If this made sense to you, try it tonight. Give yourself that 3-hour window before bed. Set up the blocks for your bed. Make the ginger tea. And tomorrow morning, start with warm water before anything else. Give your body 1 week, just one. Track how your throat feels each morning. 1 sentence in your phone. Compare day 1 to day 7. You will not believe your own notes. If this gave you something real, something you haven't heard before, leave a comment and tell me how long you've been dealing with this. I read every single one. And I think you'll be surprised how many people in that comment section share your exact story. You are not alone in this. Subscribe, because what we're putting out next is going to change how you think about another thing you've been told is just part of aging. It's not.